Not really. I pulled it together last
Welcome
night.
back. Be prepared, Summit County. That's no joke, of course. We think of this as a winter wonderland, but if you've ever had any time where you have been stranded on the side of the road in your car or perhaps in a remote area, you know that feeling when the temperature reminds you very quickly that you are a part of serious business. Our guests this morning from Summit County have a wonderful array of information and of demonstrations of things that you should have with you, whether you're bugging out because, as we've seen so recently in California, as the fires move very quickly, time is absolutely of the essence, or if you're here in wintertime, climate conditions, being prepared is literally everything. It's Nancy Johnson and Chris Crowley. Good morning, friends. Nice to see you all. Thank you for being here. Nancy, thank you for the excellent demonstration of stuff that you have here, multiple tubs. Talk about your work and in general, how this topic is of such a concern to you personally.
Well, I'm an emergency preparedness, I guess they call me specialist. I've been doing it for about 43 years. And I recently, in the last couple of years, have hooked up with Chris Crowley and Park City Emergency Manager Mike McComb. And we're trying to spread the word out into our community so that all of our community members can be prepared, whether it's for evacuation and 72-hour kits and the things that they need to take with them. And unfortunately, we're seeing that playing out in live and real time right now. And also 2 weeks shelter in, but as we come into the winter months, it is especially appropriate for us to talk about our travels and our car travel and how it's important to have certain things in your car in case somehow you're stranded or you get caught in a long traffic jam with your family. Take the road less traveled, and right. That's where we always hear in the winter, Terry, we always hear that somebody has taken that off-road and gotten themselves into trouble. And so these things that you just put in your car and forget about them can save your life and save your family's life.
Absolutely. Chris, good morning. Nice
to
see you as always.
Likewise.
Talk about your work with Nancy and how, as a part of a governmental organization, there is a mission to address these important topics on behalf of your citizenry, your constituency.
Well, I think first and foremost, personal preparedness is really the cornerstone of our community and certainly our ability to live through an event, a terrible event, of course, and recover as quickly as possible. Again, that personal preparedness starts from just the basics, understanding what kind of hazards we face, wildfire, severe weather, that's definitely one, and wildland fire is something that we should be cognizant of even today. Just because we have a little bit of moisture in the ground doesn't mean we can't still have a fire, so everybody should be very cautious about that. Earthquakes and other hazards, but again, having your family contacts, having water stored in a car kit, these are all key to really helping you, and they're very simple tasks that can be accomplished. You can purchase car kits that are already pre-made. You can put them together and throw them in a plastic container like this. Very simple solutions, and I think everybody should definitely be aware and be prepared.
Absolutely. Nancy, would you take us through the collection of things that we've got here and talk a little bit about how each has its own importance?
Sure. One thing I would like to say, I mean, this goes into the car, obviously, but prepare your car as well. Check your windshield wipers, check your washing fluid, your window washing fluid. Make sure that your tires are at the proper air pressure, and just make sure your car is ready for winter.
Well said.
Okay. So as Chris said, you can purchase one of these car kits. It has the jumper cables in it. It has some work gloves. It has a flashlight with batteries, and that's what you want to check probably about every 6 months, is refresh your batteries in your car kit. It has a little extra blanket. It has extra batteries there. It has some matches, but most important of all, it has this wonderful little red banner
SOS.
with the SOS. So the minute that you get stranded, you want to put this on your car in a visible area, especially if it's snowing heavily, so that anybody, emergency vehicles, snow plows, are going to be able to see that your car is there, okay? And you can use a red cloth. It doesn't have to say SOS or anything like that, but you can use a red cloth. You always want to make sure that you have a shovel in your car. This is the most compact shovel. It collapses down. It also has a whistle with it. So it's just really easy to put this in. It also turns into like an ice axe type of thing. So you can purchase this at any of the sporting goods stores. You can purchase it on Amazon. You can get anything on Amazon, right?
Super versatile and important tool to have with you.
Rope is always very, very important to carry in your car for a number of reasons, but one of them is if it's a raging storm outside and you have to get out of your car, you want to tie yourself to your car. Okay.
A really great point in the list of tips that you brought with, including that, was something that as soon as I read that, I said, oh, that is something I wouldn't have thought of. But like you say, when you make that fateful decision to leave just the cover, even if your car doesn't have any fuel left and it's not warm per se anymore, getting outside of the car is a huge choice to make, and to be tethered to it, especially in the kind of snow that we get at 7,000 feet, is really important. Great tip.
Okay, and one of the other tips is always to have, when you're traveling, always to have your tank half full, because that can get you out of binds. It can also keep you warm, because if you get off to the side of the road, if you slide off to the side of the road and you can't get yourself out, then you're going to be there waiting until help comes. And you want to stay with your car as much as possible. That provides you some shelter, that provides you, some warmth. But you can turn on your car for 15 minutes every hour. Make sure your window is cracked so that you don't get a CO2 buildup. Make sure the tailpipe is free of all snow. And so that's why you would tether yourself, is to go around and check, your tailpipe occasionally so that it's not getting covered with snow. The other thing is there's a tow rope that you can buy at most of the auto stores in case they've got to, some good Samaritan comes by. It's not necessarily a tow truck, but can get you out. You always want your scraper. You want boots. You want hat, gloves, warm clothing. Usually in the winter, you've always got your winter coat with you, but you do want the other things. Then we move to, this is one of the latest things now. It's called a Life Bivy. So we're used to the space blankets that you kind of wrap around you, and the space blankets reflect your body heat, so it keeps you warm. But you can crawl into these like a sleeping bag, and then you can pull it shut just like you would a sleeping bag.
That's
so
great stuff.
So you can get it. Plus, it's bright orange. You can also use it, to drape your car with or anything like that. So
metallic and reflective as well.
Yeah. So these are the latest and the greatest, and save lives. A lot of the first responders are starting to use these now.
And such a space efficient thing to. There's no
it's
reason
just
to
little.
not have it. Doesn't take up a bunch of space.
Right, and then of course you have your super duper tool.
Yeah,
you always have
always.
that. You always have a knife. You have extra water, very important. I personally recommend these packets because they don't really freeze and they don't react to heat, and they're good for 5 years. And they come in a box of 60. And that box is small, compact. You just throw it in the back of your car, and you've got water. And then you can do, of course, granola bars and just other little things. I always pack a couple of MREs, and
Sure.
you know, it depends on how long you're going to be there. And of course, you want to think about your family's needs and who's going to be traveling in the car. I have an extra red backpack that's condensed down, so if I do walk out, it's red. I can be seen.
Indeed. Talk about events. I'm sure that there are events coming up where you're going to interface with the community in various forms and officialness. Talk about the schedule that you guys have coming up.
Well, we just finished another CERT class, Community Emergency Response Team. So that's always an important piece for us because it teaches the community those skills that they need to really support the rest of us during an event. Other things that we'll be doing is again, the basic reach out or outreach to the public, reminding everybody to use common sense. If you do have to travel during periods of severe weather, be aware of that situation and be prepared for all events, again, especially as it relates to severe weather in the winter and ice. And just because it's sunny out doesn't necessarily make it safe. We've had people slide off the road and be trapped in ravines, and you know, having this kind of survival gear is great. If you are stuck somewhere, using that common sense, hopefully you've told somebody where you're going. Hopefully you have cell service. We know that that's not always the case. You know, the most simple item, that water is an important piece. I would probably have a reciprocal bottle, one that you can drink, and then the other.
Yes.
There you go.
But you know, for us in Summit County, we do a lot of planning and integrating with our different agencies, some of which are down in California, helping to fight those fires. But we have great response agencies, but they're always supported by those community efforts and by your personal preparedness.
Indeed. Chris, Nancy, thank you so much for, this is a consciousness raising for me. I need to be more prepared, and I appreciate the benefit that I've had personally, and of course our viewers as well, to take a look at all of this stuff. We appreciate the show and tell, and locations online or social media for additional information.
It is www.bereadyutah.gov, FEMA.gov, ready.gov, and a great other site is beprepared.com, and they have a blog, and it has all kinds of articles and how-tos on preparedness as well.
Excellent.
And what we would definitely like everybody to do is to sign up for the Summit County Emergency Alert System, which will tell you exactly what's going on if we do have an emergency, and that's summitcountyalerts.org or parkcityalerts.org, and you can sign up very quickly and get those important messages.
Absolutely. Thanks, you guys. Sure do appreciate it.
Thank you, Terry.
Great. Thank you.
Important stuff. I certainly have learned a thing or two this morning and raised my consciousness, and for all of us, that is the most important ingredient in preparedness. Quick break. We continue on after this.